Trickster, a killer who's seen as very boring and very annoying, and for good reason. His power is essentially a weird version of Plague's Vomit that slowly injures survivors instead of infects them. He's one of the best campers in the game, which leads to very boring and unhealthy playstyles. On top of that, he just sort of denies a lot of loops, so survivors hate going against him. He's boring to play as, so killers hate him. Not to mention the fact that with his lore, it doesn't really translate very well into his power, which means if you're a newer player who got interested in the character, read up on what he is and what he does, and then thought his power would be something cool and unique to match that, you would be wrong. This is why Trickster is the first character that I'm deciding to rework in my own way. Now, the goals with this rework are to fix those three problems: him being boring to play, boring and annoying to play against, and his power not really fitting into his actual lore. With that being said, let's just get right into the rework. Now, one of the first and most important things is that his terror radius and movement speed are the same. 32 meter terror radius, 4.6 meters a second movement speed. So he's going to be moving around and playing the general mind games that most killers are going to be playing with, except his showstopper power is going to be much different, as well as having two other components to it. So, showstopper. Trickster starts the trial with 8 blades. Holding the power button enters the throw state. While in the throw state, you can press the attack button to throw a blade. Hitting a survivor with this blade causes them to receive a stack of laceration. Blades launch at a rate of 1 blade every 1.5 seconds. Blades launch at a speed of 55 meters a second, up to 128 meters. And during the throw state, your movement speed is reduced to 3.86 meters a second, with your blades replenishing at a locker. Laceration. Upon reaching 4 laceration, a survivor suffers 1 health state. And after a survivor with laceration affecting them is not hit by a blade for 10 seconds, the laceration will start to decay. Now, already this is very different. He only has 8 blades, he throws much slower, and the laceration requires much, probably like half the amount of stacks that currently requires. What does this do for him? Well, this makes it so, first of all, you're not just blindly throwing knives everywhere. You know, you actually have a limited amount. You have to think about how you use them and where you use them, and you want to actually be accurate. More importantly, this feeds into the next part of his power, the trick shots. So, by implementing these trick shots, you are rewarded for pulling off these insanely cool and difficult shots by the knives inflicting more laceration if they are harder to hit. Our first trick shot is feeding the needle. You throw a blade through a small hole or tight space that it's very easy to mess up. You will inflict 2 stacks of laceration. Ricochet blades. When you throw a knife at a wall, it bounces off of it once. Once hitting a survivor after it ricochets inflicts them with 2 laceration. And then sharpshooter. Hitting a survivor from afar grants 2 stacks of laceration. The distance I came up with was after the blade travels 40 meters. Obviously can be changed, raised, lowered, whatever needs to happen. What do these trick shots do? Well, you want to go for these trick shots because they double the amount of laceration that you inflict. If you hit 2 ricochet blades, that's an injury. Whereas hitting a survivor 2 times normally doesn't do anything. You have to hit them 4 times normally. On top of this, these laceration increases stack. So if you get a feed the needle shot, it also ricochets off a wall afterwards and then hits a survivor, that's an instant health state with 1 knife. This is going to lead tricksters into wanting to go for really cool and fun shots as opposed to just following behind a survivor, sniffing their ass, shoving knives up it. This is also going to be a lot cooler for Survivor in my opinion, because one of the coolest things about facing a lot of these range killers, at least for me, and for seemingly a lot of other people, is when they try to go for really cool shots, and you actually have to pay attention and dodge them, essentially. You know, this is why going against like Huntress and Artist can be so fun, because going against a good version of these killers, you're never bored. Because you're never just sitting there holding M1 on a gen, you're constantly paying attention to where they are, what they're doing, and how they're playing. Now, the showstopper part of his power isn't the only part. There's actually two other parts in my rework, one of them being his main event. Now, currently, I think the biggest problem with main event is the fact that it's kind of just the same power. Let's be real. And it's every other killer who has like a second part to their power, it's very different. It's something that that's interesting and unique. Whereas with main event, it's just throw knives faster. It'd be like if Huntress had a second part of her power that was just throw hatchets faster. It would be boring. So a complete overhaul to main event. Now you gain main event whenever you take a health state from a survivor using your blades. You can only have one of these at a time, so if you injure 3 survivors, you don't get 3 main events, you still only have 1. Although you can hold it for as long as you want. While main event is active, you press the secondary power button at a window or a dropped pallet to vault the pallet. Doing so will instantly reload the knife, and the vault will only take 1 second. Now this animation would probably have to be wild. It'd have to be him doing like some sort of fucking Leon S. Kennedy fucking backflip off of a wall type shit. Gives him decent anti-chase, but more so it allows him to vault windows and shit faster, which reloads his knives and can put him into better positions to get cool shots off. You only have a limited amount of knives, and it takes every single knife to fully down a survivor, so you really don't want to just like vault a window or vault a pallet and then start unloading into them. If you miss a single knife, you now can't down them with your power. So I think a change like this to main event completely changes it completely changes what it is. It makes it a lot more unique and feel like an actual completely separate part of his power rather than just buffing his existing power. And finally, a completely new addition to his power is his grand finale. Once a survivor is on death hook, you gain the ability to end them with a grand finale, moriing them and taking them out of the match. When you kill a survivor with your grand finale, you reload your blade count again, but you increase your maximum blade count by 2, going from 8 to 2. If you kill the second person, you go from 10 to 12, increasing your strength as you down more and more people. With these changes to his base power, I think it becomes much more fun to play and to play against, having Tricksters going for cool shots rather than just following behind you or doing anti-loop, having them actually wanting to get ricochet shots, get shots through walls and shit, actually making it so Trickster can snipe people reliably now and not just be wasting time would make it a lot more fun again to play as and against. I think it's just a general improvement of gameplay overall. Now, with a rework this goddamn big, a lot of the add-ons become sort of pointless, way too strong, just need to be changed. So I actually went through and remade a good chunk of the add-ons. Now the add-ons that I didn't change are the killing part chords, the caged herd shoes, the on-target single, the melodious murder, the ripper brace, and the diamond cufflinks. All of these add-ons will remain the same as they are in the live build. Now let's go through all of his changed add-ons. The Inferno Wire. Reduce main event vault speed by 0.01 seconds. Memento Blades. Increase the speed blades travel at by 5 meters a second. Prick Pouch. Increase the number of carry blades by 1. G Wounds Autograph. Reduce main event's vault speed by 0.03 seconds. Lucky Blade. Increase the speed blades travel by 10 meters a second. The Tequila Moonrock. After a blade ricochets, its speed is increased by 20 meters a second. Bloody Boa. Increase the number of carried blades by 2. Biz spin soda. Decrease the distance for a sharpshooter shot by 10 meters. Waiting for you watch. Reduce the size of a blade's hitbox by 30%. Cut through you single. Hitting a survivor with a basic attack within 5 seconds of you using your main event will instantly grant you another main event. Edge of Revival Album. Sharpshooter shots cause the blade to shatter, dealing laceration to any survivors within a 1 meter range of the impact. Trick Blades. When a blade ricochets, it breaks off into 2 separate blades. Death Throws Compilation. You can no longer gain main event, and when you should gain main event, you instantly reload half of your maximum blades. In return, pulling off a trick shot inflicts 3 laceration instead of base 2. Iridescent Photo Card. Hitting a survivor who is more than 80 meters away, or hitting them with 2 trick shots with 1 blade, insta-downs them. Now for the rework as a whole, add-ons included, some things may be way too strong, some things may be way too weak. But as a whole, I came up with this and I wanted to show it to you because I think it's a really good way of making the Trickster very interesting to play as and against, while really focusing in on what he is lore-wise and what he actually does and can accomplish. I also think it's very important to do with a rework like this because I think it pretty well gets rid of the annoying and boring parts of his kit. You know, he can no longer camp like a monster. He can no longer... It no longer doesn't matter if you dodge knives. It now actually very much matters, with him only having 8 at the start of the game. Dodging knives is also much easier with a much slower throw rate. So overall, I think a rework like this would heavily increase the fun factor of Trickster when it comes to both sides. But that being said, that's how I'd fix the Trickster and that's how I'd rework it. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments down below, whether you think it's good, things you would change about it, anything like that. I've really appreciated the interaction and the feedback on recent videos and conversation topics. I love to see the interaction and the growth of the channel, and I really appreciate you guys for it. With all that being said, like, subscribe, do all that. Again, comment down below. I want to have a discussion about these. I always like having discussions when I bring up topics like this or any other discussion topic. So please comment, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.